Hello everyone, it's Reverend Deanna Cox here, and I am standing outside in front of this, I'm pretty sure they said it was a mock orange tree that's in our front yard, and I'm hoping you can see that the leaves are just becoming, because I want to talk today about becoming and growing into who we are called to be as God's people. And you might notice the title is of today's midweek reflection for this week is belly buttons and healing our stories of origin. And so it's about, we have Mother's Day just around the corner. Also, we celebrated it in the church as Christian Family Sunday, recognizing that families and relationships with our origins come in all shapes and descriptions, and so acknowledging that. And the other reason I called it belly buttons and our healing the stories of our origin and creating communities of welcome is because I was just at the regional gathering for our church this last week, and Elder Russ Burns introduced himself in Cree language and then told us that the equivalent of like hello, my name is in Cree is my belly button belongs to. And it's talking about, it's drawing our attention to that our ancestry is more than just like, it's this long line of origin that we come from. And that was really interesting to me, very interesting to learn. I am very deeply appreciative that Russ Burns shared that with us, and I want to commit to learning how to say that in Cree. I think that would be great. And also, I'm currently part of a course that is studying a book by Elaine, Enns, and Meyers that is healing our haunted histories. And the way they're talking about the work of reconciliation that we are called to do in our world as people of faith, as people of the world, for that matter, the way they approach it is interesting to me because they invite us to look at our family histories, our stories of origin. And so that long line of ancestry that Elder Russ talked about with our belly button, and looking at the stories that we are told, and digging deep into the pieces that are missing, and to the like our stories are full of embellishments and omissions, and so to dig deep and find out what those are, what those embellishments and omissions are, and maybe if there's trauma in there, and understanding that. And if we can unpack our own stories that way, maybe we can begin to unpack the stories of our province, our country, our world, that we have been taught to be true, but are stories of embellishment and omission. And so we need to dig and find the other things that are in there to have the fullness of our story. And the other thing that we did at the regional gathering is we honored Red Dress Day on Friday, and that is an acknowledgement of all the missing and murdered Indigenous women in Canada. And then coming up tomorrow is the Moose Hide campaign, which is raising awareness and standing to end violence against women and children. And these are two kind of grassroots events that are calling us to unpack our stories, to hear the truth and behind the fact that some people that go missing aren't looked for in the same way as others, to unpack our history that there is violence, there still is an extraordinary amount of violence against women and children. And how can we as a community make a safe place for people that are hurting? The one place that we should feel welcomed, that we should feel loved unconditionally, and have the grace and freedom to grow, to become the fullness of who we are meant to be. That one place is with God, I believe. And the sad part is that all too often churches have not been that safe place, that nurturing place, that place of becoming the fullness of who we can be. And so we are trying. The United Church has come out with a new vision statement that we are going to pursue deep spirituality, bold discipleship, and daring justice. At our regional gathering, we passed the motion to allow the Indigenous Church to develop their own leadership and guideline structure. To Elder Russ Burns talked about it as like two canoes. We might jump back and forth, and sometimes we paddle in sync, and sometimes we're slightly different, but we're on the same journey. And opening that up, healing that story of colonialism, shifting from them, from Indigenous ministries being mission, Indigenous ministries being church, that we acknowledge as equal partners. So that was incredibly exciting. And the other piece of work that we did is the other piece of work that we did as a region is we voted in favor of becoming an affirming region. And that means that we are committed to making our regional gatherings our place of welcome and inclusion for all of God's people, regardless of gender identity or sexual orientation, regardless of color, regardless of belief, really. And that was amazing. A safe place where we can become, where we can grow into our deep spirituality, bold disciple, and daring justice. And so I was proud of our church for the work that they did. And so I want to share that with you, that us here at DKR United, that we are not perfect, that we too are trying to become a place of welcome. We have an inclusive marriage policy, which means we will we will welcome, and that I am able to officiate the marriage of anyone who wishes to be. And we are working on unpacking our stories and striving towards building better relationships with our Indigenous siblings and with our community. And so if you know of someone who is hurting or who is longing for a relationship with the holy and have encountered places where they have not been welcomed, I don't guarantee, because we are human, I don't guarantee that they will instantly feel welcomed. But I do guarantee that we are an imperfect community trying our very best. And so I invite you to share this video if you find it meaningful, to share it with somebody who needs to hear this message of a place that is trying to do the hard work of looking at our belly buttons, of navel gazing and unpacking the stories of our past and doing better to live and to help make our communities a better place through our deep spirituality, bold discipleship, and daring justice. So thank you for taking time with me on this beautiful sunny day. We've had a wee bit of rain, and so the birds are singing and joyously.